How would you like to prepare your breakfast on an altar? Or live in a luxury building that's also a forest? Or how about a magical house with vanishing ceilings and moving walls? Well, you've come to the right place. Europe is home to some of the world's craziest architecture. Today, I'm going to show you 9 buildings in Europe that you have to see, counting down to my personal highlight. Nowadays, you don't have to be a priest to have your own church, or walk on water to feel like Jesus. Sacrilegious? In 2016, Spanish designer Taz Carriaga was so captured by the abandoned building and its surrounding landscape that he turned it into a home.
Vivir aquí sea muy especial.
The former altar alcove is now a kitchen. After all, for some, cooking is a form of religious experience, right? The Virgin Mary and the crucifixes have been replaced with colourful modern art though. An ideal home? Not if you're afraid of heights. The opposite room can only be reached via this 10-metre slack line. Taz does it like a professional acrobat and without a safety net. Yikes! We do love a challenge though. And there's another surprise on the rooftop, a skateboard ramp, just in case you needed an extra adrenaline boost. Oh, there you guys are! It was so quiet and peaceful up here that I almost forgot you were there. So, how would you like to abandon the ground and live up in the trees? Next on my list is a daring urban project in Milan. The Bosco Verticale, or vertical forest, is part of an attempt to make the city more green again. The towers boast a staggering 2 hectares of forest space. That's about 3 football fields. It's filled with tens of thousands of plants and trees. As a result, over 1,000 birds live here, majorly outweighing the actual residents of the building. You can even spend the night here, as some of the apartments are Airbnbs. Oh. I wonder if I can book a direct ticket to Milan. It may look like a Star Wars spaceship, but it's actually a former animal testing lab in southwest Berlin. Oh my god, there's a mouse on the floor. Haha, very funny guys, well done. This building's nickname is the Mouse Bunker. It belonged to the Free University and later to the Charité Medical School, and at some point it held thousands of mice and rats. Arguably one of Berlin's ugliest buildings, this eyesore is an icon of brutalist architecture. It was supposed to be demolished in 2020. Apparently, brutalist architecture has a fan base though. So many people protested against it being torn down that it's here to stay for now, at least. Join me for a visit to my hometown of Edinburgh for number 6 on my list. Even from the street, you can tell this house is unusual. And I know that because my dad and I once spent about an hour standing and marvelling at it. The Murphy House, designed and owned by architect Richard Murphy, is a rather curious sight. This house is a clever box of tricks with movable panels, disappearing walls and unexpected spaces. Each room hides a surprise.
This is more of a piece of fun so that when you're in the bedroom, you can talk to people down in the living room if you want to.
I confess I was a bit concerned when I couldn't find a bathtub, but luckily it was hiding under a panel. It's spread across 8 levels, but the total space is a rather humble 140 square meters. It may seem small, but looks can be deceiving. This is equally true for this house in Warsaw, Poland, which comes in at number 5 on my list and has also earned the title of one of the skinniest buildings in the world. 130. With a width of 122 centimeters, the steel frame of the building had to be constructed externally and fitted in manually. Israeli writer Edgar Keret received a phone call in 2012 from the Polish architect Jakub Szczesny asking him to be the house's first tenant. Keret originally thought that it was a prank. Fair play, I reckon I would think so too. The 14 square meter house is too small for permanent residency, so it's registered as an art installation. To get from one level to the next, you need to use a ladder. Sound claustrophobic? Keret says that it's surprisingly well lit, which makes it feel more spacious than you might imagine. A clever way to create space in a dense city. Out in nature, however, there are less limitations. How would you like to live in a bubble? I don't know about you, but I could use a little break from the city. I found this quirky bubble-shaped house in the Ardèche in southern France. Builder and artist Joël Onal built his dream house together with his wife. It took them 36 years and was completed in 2008. You won't find a single angular line in this house because the couple find it cozier to live in curves rather than cubes. Seems fair. There is a lack of storage space though, so if you're a hoarder, I hope I haven't just burst your bubble. See what I did there? And now we've reached the top 3. This is the futuristic Luma Tower in Arles in southern France, but some disgruntled locals have nicknamed it the crumpled beer can. I mean, they're not wrong. Or what do you think? This 56-metre high building towers over the surrounding skyline, quite literally shimmering in the sky. It was designed by Canadian-American architect Frank Gehry. The building took 13 years to complete at an estimated cost of 150 million euros. It opened in 2021. The tower is the centrepiece of the Luma campus in the Parc des Ateliers, a former railway wasteland which has been transformed into an arts and culture hub. It's not surprising that Gehry's building is controversial. Arles is a city with a 3,000-year history. It even has a Roman amphitheatre. Quite the contrast to this flashy piece of modern architecture. A work of genius or just an eyesore? Take it or leave it. I think it's funky. There's even spiralling slides in the entrance hall. Okay, enough controversial modern architecture. How about something a little bit more family-friendly? Our next house in Turku, Finland is called Life on a Leaf and looks like it could have been designed by children. This is the family house and life work of artist Jan-Erik Andersson. He even wrote his doctorate on the house, in which he explores the relationship between art and architecture, asking, is it possible to live in a work of art? Well, if you ask me, of course you can! The unusual name derives from the floor plan, which is shaped like a maple leaf. The living space spreads over 3 floors, and the interiors are a jumble of colourful artworks that were contributed by Andersson's friends. But my favourite bit is the top floor, which is designed like the bridge of a ship, and it leads to the bedroom. Andersson is the son of a ship captain and drew his inspiration from his childhood adventures at sea with his father. Ahoy! Is that a thing? Ahoy! And we've finally made it to number 1! I love a good fairy tale, so it may come as no surprise that my personal highlight for today is Bruno Weber's magical sculpture park in the outskirts of Zurich, Switzerland. It's a fantasy world of mythical and whimsical creatures covered with colourful mosaics, as well as bridges, tower columns, a water garden, and many other charming structures. The park was created in the early 60s by artist, sculptor and architect Bruno Weber, who died in 2011. Weber was inspired by fairy tales, myths, Gothic architecture and a very fruitful imagination. It was a family project. He built it with his wife and his 2 daughters. Well, every fairy tale must come to an end. This was Europe's craziest architecture. Do you have any crazy, quirky or unusual architecture in your country? Leave a comment below and, as always, subscribe for more videos like this one.